Homage got the vibe, got the vibe, got the vibe, got the
What's poppin', everyone? Tecno here. Nigeria has been on fire for a little while now. The Infinix Zero 8 and the Tecno Camon 16, the newest and probably greatest on Infinix's parts, and second greatest on Tecno's parts, just got announced, and the Infinix Zero 8 is now buyable anywhere in Nigeria. But then, one thing that has had this phone on fire is the fact that it's finally the kind of phone that we tech enthusiasts can say this is a great phone to buy, at least with the specs on paper. But then, when I saw this spec sheet, I couldn't help but wonder, why are these things happening now? Like, why haven't we gotten them sooner? So that's what I want to look into right now. So, right off the bat, the Tecno Camon 16 and the Infinix Zero 8 are in all senses the same phone. So the only difference between these two phones is screen size and their camera module. The camera module on the Tecno Camon 16 is just the Infinix Zero 8's camera module rotated 45 degrees, and then the Tecno Camon 16 has a 6.9-inch screen as opposed to the 6.85 inches that the Infinix Zero 8 has. Now, the major highlights of these two phones include the MediaTek Helio G90T, a 90Hz refresh rate, 33 watts fast charging, and a 4500 mAh battery. Both phones share these. Now, all of these specs are great on paper. The MediaTek Helio G90T was like one of the greatest chips that we got last year. In the Redmi Note 8 Pro, it was doing some very awesome work, and it's actually first MediaTek chip that can play Fortnite. So you get an idea of how good the performance is. But then, why now? That's what I've kept asking for a very long time. Why are we getting these changes now? I have a few theories on why we're getting these changes now, and I'll go over all of them. So let's actually start off with a little bit of history. So we all know that Xiaomi and Infinix are owned by the same company, Transitions Holdings. I don't want to talk about Transitions much. Let's talk about Infinix and Tecno as individual companies. Let's pretend like they don't actually exist under another umbrella. So Infinix and Tecno are companies that release smart products, phones mostly, and their target markets have always been Africa and parts of Asia. Mostly Africa, then parts of Asia. So that means places like Nigeria and Kenya and Ghana in India, then India and some other places in Asia all get these phones, and they are their target market. If you do a little bit of history, you'll actually discover that Xiaomi just recently started pushing into these particular territories. So last year, 2019, Xiaomi came out with the Xiaomi Redmi Note 7. This was early 2019. Then later in 2019, they also came out with the Xiaomi Redmi Note 8 Pro, which I've made a video about. And now they've come out with the Xiaomi Redmi Note 9, 9 Pro, and 9 Pro Max. All of these phones have been aimed at Africa and Asia, and also parts of Europe, which is in transition territory. But then it's not only Xiaomi that's been pushing into these markets. We also have Samsung. Now, Samsung didn't really take the African market seriously. They were only dropping their A series phones, so the A7 2019, A9, A8, and so on. Then last year, 2019, they started pushing into Africa a bit more with more budget-friendly devices. So the Samsung Galaxy A10, A20, A30, A50, all of these started coming into Africa, Asia, and parts of Europe. Now look at this and you're like, wait a minute, it's starting to make sense. The reason why we are getting these changes now is because of competition. The truth is, many Infinix devices and Tecno devices have just been horrible, trash for the money. I remember the Tecno Camon 11. I detested that phone with my life. The Tecno Camon 12, I detested that one too. The Tecno Camon 15, including the 15 Premier and all of the above, I detested them too, because the main problem with those phones is that their performance is so far back. And the problem is not about giving bad performance, it's paying a premium price for ancient performance. That's just horrible and it's evil. It's everything I could think of that is not good. So Infinix sort of realized, because if we take into account Samsung, there are many people, especially here in Nigeria, who will do anything to have a Samsung branded device attached to their name. So if Samsung actually gets a bit more serious with the A series phones and starts putting in MediaTek chips, and maybe we start seeing something like the MediaTek Dimensity chips in some of their phones, Infinix and Xiaomi's market share is going to skyrocket downwards. And now, for some proof to actually back up this theory, last year, the Tecno Camon 15 came out with the MediaTek Helio P35, a very horrible chip. Whereas I have said many times that I would have preferred something like the MediaTek Helio P60, which is a bit better in performance. How can many people who use these phones don't even know what a smooth experience is? Like, to the typical Nigerian man, if you want to get like the best performance, say in a game like PUBG, I'm a gamer, so this will make more sense to me. For you to get like the best performance in PUBG, you have to go and pay like a premium price tag to actually get a phone that can handle it. But then the Tecno Camon 15 Premier costs more than 100k, and you're getting the MediaTek Helio P35. And the MediaTek Helio P35 doesn't even play PUBG as well. No matter how much anyone says it, it doesn't play PUBG well. The MediaTek Helio P60 in my Humidity F1 played it so much better, like high frame rate, and you almost never ever see lag. It's sort of, I don't know the word to use. Like I said before, the Tecno Camon 15 Premier came with the MediaTek Helio P35, a very horrible chip. It also had a micro USB port, it didn't have fast charging, and it cost more than 100,000 naira. The Xiaomi Redmi Note 7 that came early last year had a Snapdragon processor, Snapdragon 660, 4 gigs of RAM, and 64 gigs of internal storage, 18 watts fast charging, and a USB Type-C port. The Xiaomi Redmi Note 8 Pro that came out later on had the MediaTek Helio G90T, 6 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of internal storage to start, a 4000 mAh battery, and 18 watts fast charging still. The Xiaomi Redmi Note 9, we're going to use the Redmi Note 9S. It has the MediaTek Helio G85. It has a 5020 mAh battery that still supports fast charging. And all of these phones that I've just listed are still below 100,000 naira in Nigeria. Okay, you'll be like, that's what Xiaomi does. They always try to flip the convention of paying a premium price tag for premium performance on its head. Then let's look at Samsung. Samsung started out with the A10, Sure, it didn't have a good processor, it had Exynos processors in them, but it had a sizable battery, a USB Type-C port that also supported fast charging. All these things were things that both Infinix and Tecno were missing out on in all of their devices. And the thing is, if you keep selling these kinds of devices to people when all of these other alternatives exist, your market share is going to go down. So because of that, Infinix and Tecno have decided it's time to step up the game and actually give the Nigerian people what they are paying for. Now, the product of that is the Infinix Zero 8 and the Tecno Camon 16. Okay guys, quick edit. I totally forgot to mention these points when I was actually recording the initial video. I'm currently editing it right now and it's extremely very long, but I still have to mention these. So one of the points, they're actually two and they're sort of the same, so I'll put them both together and then try to explain. So the first one is there's a probability that Infinix and Tecno are actually trying to push into other markets, so markets like Europe, maybe Canada. And also the second point is that they're trying to make their phones have a premium feel and then probably start to give us some pretty mediocre specs afterwards. So let me explain. For the first point, you notice that when Infinix launched the Infinix Note 7, they actually had Lou from Unbox Therapy actually make a video on it and give him enough phones to actually do a giveaway. Despite the fact it was an international giveaway, it's now given other markets a knowledge of their brand, and now people from other places around the world will start looking for their phones. Second, to also back up that theory, is if anyone in Nigeria sees Unbox Therapy and many of these great tech YouTubers actually making videos on this and calling the phones decent for the price, of course they are going to buy it because they've already assumed that it's a good phone. And there's also no way in hell that they are going to sell these phones with mediocre specs. People abroad aren't the typical Nigerian man who doesn't know what a decent phone is or what a decent spec phone is. That's basically what Infinix and Tecno were doing. They were playing on the intelligence of most of them because they were trying, because many people don't care about that kind of thing. They just want a phone. So they don't care whether the phone is using the latest specs or whether the phone is outdated or whether it's using outdated internals. All they care about is the camera, the battery, and that's all. So those are the main things that Infinix and Tecno have capitalized on in times past. Very smart from Infinix's part, actually, and I expect no less from them. I also expect Tecno is doing the same thing, so I'm not surprised. Well, let's get back to the video. Now, what can we take away from this? Like, what's the main takeaway from this development? Number one, competition always breeds innovation. Now, this is something we've known, that the more competition there is in an area, the more beneficial it is to the consumers. And now, take a look back, just the phones that Infinix and Tecno released last year alone, and compare it to these phones that they've come out with this time around. The Infinix Note 7 was where Infinix started to step up their game, and now the Infinix Zero 8 exists. The Tecno Camon 16 is where Tecno has actually started to step up their game, and other devices from this one will also be very, very good. And what Infinix and Tecno decided to do was to mix in the best features from some of these phones and put it into one. So in the Infinix Zero 8 and the Tecno Camon 16, they mixed in the best features of the Xiaomi Redmi Note 8 Pro and the Xiaomi Redmi Note 9. So what do I mean? MediaTek Helio G9TT, USB Type-C port, all of these are from the Xiaomi Redmi Note 8 Pro. 33 watts fast charging. That's taken from the Xiaomi Redmi Note 9 Pro Max and then just added 3 watts on top. 90 Hz refresh rate. They took that from, of course, the trend that is in 2020, which is high refresh rates. I mean, a lot of the specs you can clearly see are meant to disrupt Xiaomi's own market. When we look at these things, I mean, these phones, the Tecno Camon 16 and the Infinix Zero 8, have great specs on paper, but are they actually worth buying? Because great specs on paper never really translate to like excellent real world usage. Now, it depends on you. For me, these specs on paper, we need to actually get like more reviews to be sure that they actually do translate well to actual real life performance. If you're a die-hard Infinix or Tecno fan, yeah, go for these phones. These phones are totally worth it. It's annoying that you don't get any variation between these two devices. So if you're a Tecno user and you buy the Tecno Camon 16 and you meet an Infinix Zero 8 user, the two of you are practically using the same phone, just different colors and a slightly changed camera module, which is, that's just a turn off for me. I don't like using the same kind of phone as any other person. I like people to first of all scratch their heads when they hear the name of my phone. If you can wait a bit more, because the next and subsequent phones that Infinix and Tecno will bring out will be cheaper, one, and will also be very, very good and worth the money. And then another thing someone will ask is, am I actually getting like 100,000 naira worth of phone when we're buying the Infinix Zero 8 and Tecno Camon 16? I'll be honest, you're actually not, because the Xiaomi Redmi Note 9 and Note 9 Pro are still below 100,000 naira, and they give much better specs than what the Infinix Zero 8 and Tecno Camon 16 are giving. The only difference is a 90 Hz refresh rate. But the thing is, a typical Nigerian man, yes, he'll notice that his phone is like more fluid when he's scrolling through things, but he may not even know that he has 90 Hz on. So it's not really much of a big deal. And I'm very sure that the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 that will come out very soon will also have a high refresh rate display. So that's worth the wait. And I'm sure it may be cheaper than still these two phones. But let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about this development? Do you think it's worth it? Do you think that maybe this is like a ploy from Infinix and Tecno to sort of get us interested in, then start giving us horrible performance? Who knows? Maybe they'll just start redundant. Maybe they'll just start giving us phones that have only the MediaTek in the G90T, G90T, G70, G90T, G70, and then for like the longest time, that's what people get. And because these chips perform well, people may not actually notice the difference, except the tech savvy people. But let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.